Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be talking about whether or not you want to pull on the Riko and Rice Shower banner that'll be coming out here in a couple days. There's a lot of things that you have to kind of take into account when it comes to making a decision on whether or not to pull for this banner. It's going to be impossible to cover all scenarios, but I'm going to kind of try and give you an idea of the thought process you should be thinking about when it comes to pulling additional pulls. And that's what I mean by this is additional pulls. Of course, you're going to take your free 10 pull per day all the way up to the free 100. But the decision really comes down to, do you want to push it all the way to 200 so you can guarantee one copy of one of these cards on the pity? Because basically you're getting a 15,000 carat discount with the free 100 pulls. The first thing that should be going on in your mind is whether or not you have MLB Kitasan Black. I think that's the biggest determining factor. If you're somebody that just has 1 or 2 copies of Kitasan Black, so you're at 1 limit break Kitasan Black, or even 0 limit break Kitasan Black, you absolutely want to save as much as you can for the Kitasan Black rerun banner. This is going to be where you should hopefully be able to MLB her, because we're going to be getting the selector ticket, as well as a crystal upgrade that allows you to add a limit break to a card. Those you're definitely not going to want to use right away until you've been able to pull on this banner, just in case you get very lucky and are able to MLB it and say 200 pulls, or even 400 if you're able to save up that much. And then you can save that selector for a different card like Super Creek or Fine Motion, as well as the crystal. So ultimately, if you're in the scenario where you need to pull on the Kitasan Black banner, I think for pretty much everyone, this banner is a do your 100 pulls and skip it. And that is because you're almost certainly, I mean, unless you have the worst luck ever, you're going to get multiple copies of the rare Riko Kashimoto, which is what's important from this card is getting access to the events, which are going to give you a crap ton of stamina. And yes, even if you have not MLB on this, the biggest negative is losing access to that training effectiveness if you don't get it all the way to MLB, but you get a majority of the other benefits before that. And being able to save 15,000 carats is quite nice. Now, you could always, instead of going the full pity, maybe try and get another copies of this and a couple 10 pulls here and there. But ultimately, I wouldn't do that, because if you're not going all the way to full pity, it's not worth it to pull on a banner in like 90% of cases. And so, if you need Kitasan Black, I feel like you just do the 100 pulls and work with whatever you get here. Riko and Rice Shower, counter what a lot of people are saying, are not mandatory for the second scenario. You can make it work, and I'm not even going to probably use either of these cards on the mile or short race. I believe there's 2 miles and a short in the champions meetings. The only ones I'm going to actually use Riko on are the 2 longs and the medium. And so it's always a potential borrow as well, depending on your scenario. Now, I'm in a unique one where I have a good enough Super Creek, Kitasan Black, and all that, so I can do that. For most people, they're not in that situation, and so you would just use your rare one and borrow whatever you need at that point. But if you have MLB Kitasan Black, or even like a Limit Break 3 Kitasan Black, which really makes it usable on your side, that is where now you want to start thinking about whether or not it's going to be worth it to pull on this banner. And I think it comes down to how your 100 pulls go that are free. So when it comes to making your decision, you should not actually make this decision until the very last day of this banner, after you have done all 100 pulls. Unless you're in a situation like me, where you potentially might want to pull on the Nice Nature banner, and thus you want to try and see where your luck's going to lie on this banner. But that's really kind of a whale strat, because the idea would be you put 100 pulls on this, knowing that the free pulls will get you up to full pity. You can see where you land, depending on, like, if I get lucky and get 2 copies of Riko Kashimoto, I know now I can get it to 2 limit break at that 200 pull point, and thus I feel a lot safer pulling on Nice Nature. It's a whale strat, so we're not going to go into depth on that too much. Those who are whales already know what they're kind of doing in that situation. For everybody else who doesn't need Kitasan Black pulls on the rerun banner, it comes down to what you get in those 100 pulls. And the main focus for me is going to be the Riko Kashimoto banner. For Rice Shower, I'm not too concerned on however many dupes I get on this one. As long as you hopefully get 1 copy of it, I would say. If you don't, it's always a borrow card. To me, Rice Shower is potential to be borrowed. The main card you care about is Riko. And So what I think ultimately makes the decision for me in most situations is, do I get 2 copies of Riko in those first 100 pulls, or I don't get MLB rare. And so if you get limit break 1 here, that means you can guarantee by going up to 200 that limit break 2, which is kind of the break point to get like the full advantage of the card here. Which if you take it all the way up to 2, this is where it takes training effectiveness up to 10%, which is kind of the big thing that you get out of it, from 5 to 10, bringing it quite a bit above the rare Riko, as well as getting some other things up here. Now, if you get even luckier and say you get limit break 3, that's another big opportunity to push it up to 200. Now, this is very unlikely for most people, but if you did get it to limit break 3 in those 100 pulls, absolutely 100% I would push it to 200, because then that unlocks the race bonus 10%, which is actually going to make this card a decent card to use in the third scenario. So I think, to me, those are the 2 points where I would potentially want to pull up the 200, would be I get 1 limit break or 3 limit break. If you get the 2, it's really depending on whether you're a spender or not at that point, because there's not enough of a difference. Like getting that initial 15 stamina, not big enough of a difference. Like the race bonus going up 1, fan bonus going up 1%, 2 to 3 is not big enough. And the odds of you getting another copy in those 100 pulls is quite low, and you're basically throwing them away at that point, and it's not going to be worth it, because even if you say want to use that free limit break crystal they give us, which I would say absolutely do not use that on this card. Yeah, you could take it up to race bonus 10%, and then it's useful in the third scenario, but this is going to fall off immediately after that, because we're going to have a new PAL card that's going to be mandatory called Light Hello for the fourth scenario. And so those, I think, are the only scenarios where I would pull additional. Another scenario would be, and this you'd have to have like the worst luck ever, would be getting 0 copies of Riko whatsoever, including rare, or even getting like only 1 or 2 copies of rare, because the rare is still, while the events are the important parts, at low dupes, it is still, it's pretty bad everywhere else on it. You really want to try and MLB this. And so if you have like no copies of the rare, or you maybe get even just 1 copy of the SSR, but you only get like 1 or 2 of the rare, then it might be worth it, because then you can pull, you can guarantee 1 limit break on the SSR, which is very similar to the MLB of the rare. And so that's kind of the things I've been thinking about on it. It's very tricky. It's going to be very specific to you and your deck. Now, we've been a lot of discussing this on my streams as well as in my Discord. So if you have any questions, or you have a different unique situation you are in, you can always ask in my Discord. I also added a new chat section on there for account review, for if anyone wants me to take a look at their accounts. I'll probably do them like on stream and stuff in the Discord. We can take a look at it. You just put, hey, here's my account, showcase your SSR cards, maybe the Umas you have, and we can kind of help give you advice on where you should go when it comes to making decisions on banners like this. Because this one's a very unique one, and I feel like there's a lot of decision making that needs to go on it, because everybody's scenario is kind of unique in this, in that we're all getting 100 pulls, and everybody's 100 pulls are going to be different. Somebody's going to MLB Riko in those 100 pulls, and of course, you're not going to pull on it anymore if you MLB the Riko SSR there. Even if you don't get a single copy of Rice Shower, you can just borrow her, of course. So it's very, very difficult to give you a solid answer. Just know the biggest thing is that Kita-san Black is the priority in trying to MLB it. It's going to be quite good for a long time still. And it's not really for, and if you look at the guide here that kind of explains all the support cards, like the next big pickup, especially on the speed side, is going to be the Maruzensky speed card, which isn't going to be coming out estimated until August 2026. This might be a little bit earlier than this, because this, I don't know if they've updated this with the even faster acceleration it looks like they're doing. So it could be earlier than this, but even when this card comes out, Kita-san Black is still going to be relevant. And the real big one is El Condor Pasa as being like the next big speed card, which is still 2 years away. So you're going to still get a ton of value out of that Kita-san Black pulls, while Riko will fall off as soon as we get into the third scenario. And then really, really fall off, like the MLB version, once we get to the 4th scenario, which based on these estimates would be next year, a year from now. And so for a majority of people, it's just not going to be worth it to do those additional pulls. Just save that 15,000 carats. There's a lot of other things that you can eventually get in the future. And even though you might be in a lull at this point, because as you can see, there's quite a few you can skip. Unless you have like an Oshi pick, that's something else you have to kind of put in there. If any of these Umas are like must pickups for you, you need to really take that into account. That definitely makes Riko even more likely to be a skip. Like if you want to get Agnes Digital, I would absolutely be skipping this just because she's so close to the banner. And now you still need to conserve carats for other things coming out. But if you don't have like an Oshi pick coming up, you do have a lot of time to save. But don't be afraid of continuing to save for a long time. There's a lot of banners that you can take massive advantage of in the future. If you have 60 or even 90,000 carats to really succeed in future scenarios. One thing we were looking at yesterday on stream was the next scenario banners, like the 4th, the 5th, the 6th ones. Just like basically the equivalent of the Riko Rice Shower ones in the future. And all the future ones have way better cards on them. I will say that. One example being one of the PAL cards. I don't remember which one specifically. I think it might be this one right here so that's what, 4th, 5th, 6th scenario? So the 6th scenario one will be coming alongside El Condor Pasa speed. And that one you can pull heavily on because you definitely want, if you have 90,000 carats, that's going to be a banner where you pull and you try an MLB El Condor Pasa, as well as, I don't know who that one is, but whoever this support card is. Same situation with the 4th one, which is going to be the one after Make a New Track, Light Hello. She's going to be paired alongside with the Speed Agnes Tachyon, which will fall off at some point in the future, early future. It's not a huge priority card, but it is a speed card, and a very useful one at that during that time frame. And so this one is like the worst of all the PAL cards in the future. Even though it's very valuable for the 2nd scenario, it's not as strong or as valuable as future ones will be to their scenario. So just make sure to take advantage of that. Take your free pulls, walk out of this hopefully as much unscathed as you can, and be ready for the bigger pulls that'll be coming out in the future, especially if this is going to be a long-term game for him. You're going to be playing it for a long time. And if you're wanting to be a free-to-play, you really need to hold on to those carats. Do not let them bait you with free pulls on the banner and feel like you have to pity the banner. So that's pretty much it. I thought I'd kind of discuss it a little bit. But it is very unique, like I said, to everybody's scenario. And if you want to talk about it a little bit more, just go ahead and join the Discord or my stream, and we'll be all happy to help you. But that's it for now. And if you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.